Hey there, Tiff here. Are you really struggling with keeping that focus and that motivation going with these goals that you have set for yourself? If you are, then don't go anywhere, because I've got a really great thing that we can work on that's going to really help you get more focus, get more clarity, and get really, really motivated about achieving your goals. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you very shortly. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. So lovely to have you here today. Motivation, focus. It can be really tough, isn't it? Especially when you've set some really, really big goals that you want to accomplish, and you're finding that it can be so hard to maintain that focus because it's hard work, isn't it? You've got a dream, you've got a goal that you're focusing on, that you really want to achieve, but it can be, hard going, a big slog, because it's a day-to-day proposition of what you're working on, because you want to make this big goal happen, but you got to do the work. You got to do the reps, as they say. So I've got some really great ways in how we're going to be really focusing on getting that working so much better for you, so that you've got a better focus, you've got better concentration around it, and you feel motivated to get out there and go and accomplish your goals. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at today is how having a big goal can be overwhelming, and so how we focus on the smaller goals, and I'm going to show you how we do that. The second thing we're going to be focusing on today is some effective ways to track progress by using smaller, manageable goals. I'll show you how to do that. And the third thing we're going to focus on today is the 7 key advantages of breaking down the big goals into smaller, manageable goals. So we're going to be looking at why that is so beneficial for you. So let's start with the first one. Having a big goal can be overwhelming, can't it? And so what we want to do is we actually want to be focusing on the smaller goals. And I'll tell you why. Small, achievable, manageable goals. That's what we want, little milestones. And if we focus on the milestones, that's what's actually going to help us stay motivated. That's what's going to help us stay focused. That's what's going to help us feel like it's achievable. Because when we have that big goal, that ultimate goal that we're after, sometimes it feels so far away that you just can't get it, right? You just can't hold on to it because it just seems like it's just so far away. But if we set up like little milestones, where you've got these little milestones that, these small goals that are achievable and manageable, so that you're like, okay, I'll get to that one first, then I'll focus on the next one. Get to that one second, then I'll focus on the next one. And if you do it that way, and you focus on being in that moment, in focusing on that particular little goal that you're working on, then you feel like you've got more control, right? You're motivated because you can see that it's achievable, and that you know how to get there and achieve that. Once you've done that, then you set the next achievable goal for yourself, right? The smaller milestone. Now, when you focus on that, it's called the compounding effect. So what you do then is, by you setting those small achievable goals and milestones, is that what happens is when they compound together, so you got the first one, then you got your second one, then you got your third one, then you got your fourth one, then you got your fifth one. All of a sudden, then you've achieved a bigger goal that you've set for yourself. But if you focus on the big goal and all the things that you have to do around the big goal, it can be really overwhelming. And so we don't want to feel overwhelmed, do we? No way. So if we focus on these little achievable goals each week, or milestones, then they compound, and then they give us the ultimate goal that we're looking to achieve. So what are some examples? I'll give you a couple of examples. Here's a really good example. Say you're a golfer. It's a really simple one. And you're really struggling with your putting. Why not set the goal for the week that you want to sink 10 balls in the hole in a row from about a metre out. Right, that's achievable. You could do that. That's a great way to improve your performance out on the golf course, because if you're a golfer, you'll know this, is that those smaller putts are the ones that really count. Those are the ones that you finish off. Those are the ones that most people miss, yet they're the most achievable ones that people can actually sink into the hole a lot easier than the ones further back. So if you set yourself a simple goal like that, that would be then achievable. What it also does is it gives you something to work towards, it gets you motivated, and then once you've achieved it, you can tick it off, and then you focus on the next thing. Another example, tennis player doing serves, right? All you could do is you've got to focus on getting 10 serves in a particular part of the service box in a row. Focus on doing that. If you can do that, give that a tick, and then you move on. So sometimes it's really good to set some little skill-based goals, because you're working on achieving your sport and creating these big goals that you want to achieve in your sport. So why don't you break them down into little manageable, achievable goals that you could go, yep, I can do that, and yep, I can focus on that, and yep, I can feel proud of myself once I've done that. Simple way to do that. So let's move on and let's look at some effective ways in how you can track your progress when you're using those small manageable goals, like those little milestones. Okay, so this is number one. You could use a goal tracking tool. So you could, actually track your progress. So whatever the goal is that you've set for yourself, you could track it. Good thing about tracking goals is then you can actually see what's happening, right, if you're tracking them. It's okay to set a goal, but if you're not really tracking them, you're not really sure what's going on. Number two, breaking the goals down into milestones. Well, we've just been talking about that, about managing them into smaller little chunks. It's like a skill. When you're building a skill in a sport, you're working on getting a particular part of the skill right, and you break it down into little pieces, and then as that you develop each part of that skill, then you put it together. That's what achieving big goals is like. You're setting them into small little manageable pieces, so that you're doing one little bit first, then you do the next little bit second, then you do the next little bit third, and so on, so that it all comes together and gives you that ultimate goal that you're looking for. 3, regular check-ins and reflections. So check in and see what's going on. Like, are you on track for achieving that little milestone that you've set for yourself? Good thing to do is do it daily and also weekly, is check in, especially if there's a particular goal that you're really focusing on and you're working on it daily. Check in with yourself each day. Is it working or is it not? Okay, good way to do that is just ask yourself a question, is it working? If it is, great, what's working well? If it's not working well, find out that too, because that gives you feedback, is why isn't it working well? And then you go, okay, now how can I improve that? It's a really great way to work on that. Number 4, tracking habits. So what are some habits that you need to implement into your regime that you could track on a daily basis that's going to help you achieve those little manageable goals that you've set for yourself? What could you do there? What kind of habits could you have in place? An easy habit actually to focus on, what I believe, is a simple thing in meditation. That's a great habit to start implementing into your daily regime, because what it does is it's about getting your mind focused. Because remember, when you're playing in your sport, it's all about being focused, isn't it? So if you're not training yourself outside of a sporting arena when you're playing, and expecting for that to happen when you're playing in your sport, and it's not coming to you, then that's an area that you could be really focusing on. So tracking a habit like meditation is a great one, especially for focus. Number 5, journaling. Just journal what's going on. Journal how your day was. Journal what's going on with regards to your milestones that you've set for yourself, so that you're on track, or if you're not on track, or what's working well, what's not working well, how you're feeling about where you're headed. There's so much that you can talk about, and I find when you start journaling and you have a journal, you just start writing, just everything starts to flow. So give you space to be able to do that, so you can then check in and see what's actually going on. Number 6, measurable goals. So we talked about that with regards to setting those small goals. Now we're talking about measuring them. So for example, I gave you a golf example where you could just with your putts, you could do 10 putts in a row in the hole, right? That's a measurable goal. That's something that you can then go, yep, tick, I've done that. I've achieved that. So when you're really thinking about the goals that you're setting, especially the milestones, what are some simple little measurable activities that you could do that could help contribute to you focusing on how you could make that goal more achievable? And what it does too, it really helps you focus on achieving that particular area that you need to be focused on, and it does motivate you a lot too. And 7, this is a good one, get an accountability partner. Actually, I have got one. I've had one for a very long time. I think we're coming up to 5 years now. Hi, Kerry. If you're listening to me, you're seeing me. We've been doing it for a long time, and it's been amazing because we're accountable to each other. So we check in with each other each week on what's going on, what's working well, what's not working well, what we need to do moving forward, and then we reset our goals for the upcoming week. That's a really good one to do as well, because it keeps you accountable to that other person, so that you can let them know where you're at. And it's great for someone to talk to, especially if they're on your wavelength, right? They think the same way you do. It's really good for you to then talk to them about like what's going on, what's working well, what's not working well, because they may be able to provide some great insights as well. So now we've looked at ways in which you can set small manageable goals, and we've also looked at some habits that you could actually implement and some effective strategies that you could put in place that will really help you make your smaller goals more manageable. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you the 7 key advantages of why it's so beneficial for you to be focusing on setting smaller milestones, smaller goals, so that you're not looking at the big picture, you're making them all achievable. Number 1, you can improve your focus. So by improving your focus, it gives you that space too to be able to focus on one thing at a time. So we don't want to be multitasking and throwing ourselves all over the place. What we want to be doing is focusing on that particular milestone that we want to accomplish. We get that done, and then we can move on to the next one. So we don't want to see the big picture. We just want to see what's just in ahead of us, because that will help us stay focused and motivated. Number 2, it increases motivation, doesn't it? Like if you've already set little small, achievable, manageable goals, then you do feel more motivated. When you've got this big goal, like sometimes it can be so overwhelming. So what it actually does is, by you setting some smaller goals that you know that you can achieve, makes you feel good, right? Makes you feel like you can actually achieve it. Doesn't feel like it's so far away anymore. Feels like you can actually capture it, right? And pull it towards you, because you know it's not that far away and you know that you can do that. Number 3, it enhances clarity. So it just gives you so much more clarity around what you need to be focusing on. I know too, like when I set a big goal, sometimes I can be distracted and I get pulled all these different directions. But when I am focusing on my milestones, I know that what it does, everything becomes so clear, and I know what I have to be focusing on to achieve that milestone, so that I can move then to the next step. Number 4, it really helps you track better, right? It's better tracking so that you can really see where you're at. And like I said, it's that compound effect, is looking at those little small, measurable, achievable goals that you have in place, that you can then go, yep, I've achieved that first one, yep, I've achieved that second one, yep, I've achieved that third one, because you've got feedback from it. You know what's going on. You know how and why it's working, right? You also know how and why it's not working. So you've worked that out. you've got that feedback so that then you can be working on moving forward. Number 5, it's so good because it starts to teach you about developing habits, right? You're formulating and putting together all these habits that you need to have in place to help you accomplish your goals. So not the big ones, not only the big ones, but also the smaller ones, those small achievable ones. So we create the habits around how we're going to do that. Number 6, what it also does is helps reduce stress. So now because you've got something in place that's achievable, you can relax about it because you know you're only focusing on that first step, not the thing that's 10 steps away. It's only one step in front of you, and you know that you can actually achieve that. So it helps reduce that stress around that. And number 7, well, that's being flexible and adaptable. By you then tracking those small, achievable, manageable milestones, small goals, what it actually then enables you to be is more flexible with it, because then you can then identify that you're on the right track into where you want to go with what you want to achieve in your sport. But it also then gives you that flexibility and that adaptability in the sense of, yep, that's not working what I thought it would. Now I've got to change and pivot and go in a different direction, because now I understand why it's not working and how I need to make sure that it is working moving forward. So there you have it. That's a simple, easy way to really get more motivated in achieving those goals. And before you go, I've got breaking through the barrier, 3 steps to building self-confidence. All you need to do for that is go to my website, tiffany-micah.com. Love to see you there. And remember this, dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Take care, talk soon. Bye for now.